write a possible equation for each graph. Remember to consider shifts, reflections, and intercepts. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do when we approach one of these is identify what type of a function would produce this particular graph. So this is a parabola. So I know that a squared function is going to produce a parabola. Now, the parabola is shifted over 2 units and up 5 units. And I can tell this just by where the vertex is. So to get a vertical shift of 5 units, I need to add a 5 on the outside of the function. To get a horizontal shift of positive 2, I do the opposite and do x minus 2 on the inside of these parentheses. This parabola is opening upward, and so the coefficient on the outside is positive. You don't need to write that, so I'm just gonna, whoops, I need to make that eraser smaller. There. Part B. So the first thing that I do is observe the graph and identify what type of function it is. It's got the V shape, so it's going to be absolute value. Now, this absolute value function, it should be pointing upward. It's pointing downward, which means it's reflected. So I'm going to have a negative on the outside. Also, it's shifted over to the left 3 units and up 4 units. A vertical shift of 4 means to add 4 on the outside of the absolute value, and a horizontal shift to go to the left 3, I would do x plus 3 on the inside. For part C, I'm looking at this function and identify it as a square root. So I'm just going to write y equals square root, and I'll fill in the rest in a minute. Okay, so the square root normally should be going upward like this. Because it's going downward, that means there's a negative out front. Also, it's shifted over to the right 2 units and up 1 unit. To shift it up 1 unit, I do a plus 1 on the outside of the radical, and to shift it to the right 2 units, I do x minus 2 on the inside of the radical. And lastly, part D, this is a cube, so I'm just going to write y equals cube like that. So we got the function straight away. Now, this is shifted. It is shifted to the right 3 and down 2. So in order to shift this down 2 units, I'll have a minus 2 on the outside. To shift it to the right by 3, I'm going to have x minus 3 on the inside. Now, in terms of whether this is going to be a positive or a negative on the front, the cubic polynomials, if you remember their end behavior, they start in the negative and end in the positive. So this is a type of cubic polynomial, and so that's what's happening, which means I have a positive number on the outside of my cube. So this is the correct function.